Hello and welcome to another TNC Oppo preview. Last time out, another disappointing loss, this time on the road to Arsenal, of course, at the Emirates. Up next, it's a big game at Carrow Road on Saturday against Watford. And who better to give us all the latest Watford insights than the delightful, articulate, awesome Adam Leventhal of The Athletic, aka in the TalkNorwichCity world, Mr. Wi-Fi. Adam, how are you doing, mate?
I'm very good. It's great to see you. It's good to be looking forward to a game where either side might have a chance of getting 3 points. And it's all a little bit different, isn't it, to the last time we were speaking? We were all sort of high on life and thinking, yeah, we're back in the big league. And now it's like, snap, back to reality. This is all sort of, it's actually quite tough up here with the big dogs. So, yeah, all is well. And it's great to be here.
Good man. You're a bit of a regular on TNC now, aren't you, mate? Because you, of course, were on the TNC watch along. You were doing the opposition previews last season. Those of you will remember that, of course, you enjoyed Zombie Nation live at Carrow Road. You were there as well. So obviously, as you've touched on, Adam, since then, of course, you came to Carrow Road and caused us problems even last time we played each other. But what's the overarching feeling like at Vicarage Road right now? Is it one of pressure? Is it one where do things stand your side?
Well, there was a very bright start to the season against Aston Villa. And I think that sort of got everyone's hopes up that it was going to maybe we might be able to exceed expectations this season. Since then, there was a bit of a sort of a culture shock against Brighton. And they started off very slowly. But then you put it into the context of how well Brighton have been playing and their evolution. And you go, oh, okay, first half, we were basically pulled all over the shop, and then second half readjusted, and it only ended 2-0, and it sort of petered out. The game at Tottenham, it was a 1-0 defeat. It was an unforced error. Daniel Backman, the goalkeeper, just sort of misjudged Son's free kick. And then other than that, Tottenham, I think, as we've seen against Crystal Palace, if you scratch the surface of Tottenham, really, they're not really up to much. And Palace, playing against a side that were depleted with injuries. Son wasn't playing. Then they had Dyer going off. Then obviously the sending off. You know, Palace pushed on and did well and beat that Tottenham side. So then coming up against Wolves, people were thinking, right, we're now heading into a series of games where we might actually be able to get some points. And it was disappointing, but And some people have gone, panic stations. We've lost 3 out of 4. But it's about Cisco Munoz has spoken about it, and I think it's irritated quite a few Watford fans. But I understand what he's saying. It's you've got to understand the process. You bring in a whole load of new players. It's a new league. You're getting used to each other. Some of those players haven't actually played together at all yet. You have to just take your time. I mean, I suppose it's almost from your boys' perspective, you just had tough game after tough game after tough game with little expectation. Watford have had a couple of games where you think, oh, they could have picked up some points and they burnt through them. But my feeling is slow and steady. Let's just see where we are at the October international break. Let's not panic too much yet. So that's sort of the overarching feeling from my point of view. But I know some Watford fans are getting really worried. But it's just like, come on, just chill out for a bit. Chill out.
Do you know what?
Enjoy it.
That's really needed, actually, to hear that from another newly promoted side's perspective, because a lot of people are, of course, pressing the patience button, and arguably rightly so, because we played Liverpool, Man City, Leicester, Arsenal, big games of football. And of course, as you would say, the expectation to win isn't quite there, albeit we are quite frustrated that we haven't picked up points in the last 2 games. Adam, I want to go back to the terminology that you used there, pulled apart, you described it as. And were you pulled apart against Wolves at all? Can Norwich hurt you in the same way that Wolves did in your last game?
Well, the thing that Watford have done, which I think has been positive, is, as I mentioned, in that first half against Brighton, we got outnumbered in midfield and didn't really know what we were doing. By half-time, we reset and we pretty much matched them up and changed our formation and did pretty well. And then at Tottenham, we went toe to toe, and we were narrow, compact. We didn't press too hard, didn't over press, which is something that we did very, very well at Carrow Road, the game where your boys were all just walking around hungover, just going, look, can you just slow down a bit? This is a bit too much, please. I know you need to win games and stuff, but we are absolutely, oh God, we're all over the shop. But yeah, Watford have they've taken a more of a pragmatic approach and gone, look, we can't just go super press because we'll just get played around. So I think that they're not gonna. They need to find, and this happened in the Wolves game. They need to just find their strength and find that confidence that we are capable of hurting teams as much as they're capable of hurting us. So it's trying to strike the right balance at the moment, and they haven't done that over the course of an entire game yet. Even the Aston Villa game, that opening game, there was a little bit of panic stations towards the end. It got a little bit frantic when Villa scored 2 goals, but I think they're just still trying to find their feet a little bit, and coming up against a good footballing side again, like Brighton, I think will be tested, because I don't think Wolves didn't pull Watford apart. They played sensibly. They were tight, compact, and didn't press too hard. But Wolves are a good side, and they were in a false position. So, people come up against them and go, oh, look, they haven't won yet. They've lost all their games 1-0. They've got Adama Traore, who's just like some sort of superhero, cartoon character who just is just immense and amazing. But they dealt with him, doubled up against him and dealt with him. Wolves are always going to create chances because of the nice flowing football that they play. But Watford did okay. They scored one of Wolves' goals, and then their second goal was a real scruffy nonsense of a goal. So it's like, I understand people's frustrations, Watford fans' frustrations at not being creative enough and all this sort of stuff. But I don't know. It's just all about sort of just trying to go, well, we haven't lost 5-0, 5-0, 4-0, and just not looked like a football team at all. There have been phases of play and moments where you've gone, right, yeah, we can do it. And hopefully there'll be more of those against your boys on Saturday.
Hopefully not. You've touched upon there some individual players, Adam, and to be honest with you, I don't have a clue about your summer transfer window at all. I think you signed Sissoko, if I'm right in saying. Is he the danger man as such to watch? Do Norwich need to make sure that he's not in the game? Is there a particular player that we need to ensure that we really stay tight on Saturday?
Well, it's been a massive transition of players at Watford, ins and outs. The main ones are in midfield and attack. Really, the defence hasn't really been altered too much, apart from Danny Rose coming in as left back. In midfield, we've got this Slovakian bodyguard guy called Juraj Kucka.
We've got a Russian bodyguard in our midfield, so maybe.
So it'll be great. They'll go toe to toe and knock each other out. So yeah, we've got Kucka, who's shown to be good. He didn't have the best game against Wolves, but he's sort of combative, but he can also play. Moussa Sissoko, who Watford signed from Tottenham, of course, he has shown signs of being able to carry the ball forward. And that's the problem with Watford at the moment, because one of the players that left is Will Hughes, who was a great anchor in midfield, a bit like Oliver Skipp for your boys. You lose that sort of link up, and that's what Watford are lacking a little bit. Ozan Tufan is a Turkish international who they've signed. He hasn't played yet, so he might feature. Peter Atibo, another midfielder who's come in, and then obviously in attack they've been strengthening as well. Emmanuel Dennis, who used to play for Club Brugge, scored a couple of goals at the Bernabeu in the Champions League a few years ago. He's a player and he's done well. He has done well and he looks dangerous. Cucho Hernandez, who's a box of tricks, bleach blonde hair, left-hand side, can cut in and score on his right foot. Josh King, I'm sure we'll talk about him a little bit later. He's come in as well. And there have been other reinforcements that haven't really sort of clicked yet and had a go. So, like listing all those players, it's pretty much a whole team that have come in. So it's tough, and that's why finding your feet and almost going, I don't know what his name is. Who's that guy over there? It's almost a bit like there's been so many players that they need to sort of just get used to being each other's teammates, and that it just takes time. And one interesting thing that Xisco Munoz said the other day in his press conference, he's like, look, I understand that the Premier League isn't just going to wait around for us to get to know each other and get used to it, and we have to find our feet, but we are genuinely just trying to connect to each other and with each other. And that's what happens when you have to try and do a massive transition of big players leaving, like Troy Deeney, he's not here anymore. Nathaniel Shalabar, Andre Gray, Will Hughes is gone. Domingos Quina's gone.
A lot.
Other players, loads of players have left as well. So it's been a big old churny summer for Watford.
No, it's really interesting, and I can already see some parallels between our clubs actually in terms of ins and outs, albeit potentially not getting rid of as many of our mainstays perhaps as you guys, and we'll talk about Troy Deeney in just a minute. One player that you've mentioned there, Adam, is Josh King, a player that Norwich City were rumoured to have been very close to signing, allegedly making a bid that was turned down. I think it was potentially to do with wages in personal terms as well. I don't know whether you know anything about that, but of course he's now a Watford player. What do you make of that signing for you guys, and will he deliver the goals for you this season?
Well, that is the big question. In terms of his procurement, I know that there were a number of teams that were looking at him. And I remember at the time, Michael Bailey, my athletic colleague, who's a regular with your boys as well, we were sort of going, is it a Norwich in, or is he going to Watford, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But then I think the opportunity to play for Watford, come in and have an opportunity to build something, and not come in as not that he would have been this at Norwich, but like going to another team, maybe being an understudy, not playing enough. I think the premise was, you're going to come in, you are going to be our number 9. They didn't necessarily know then that Troy Deeney was definitely going to be leaving, but now they're sort of going, right, you're going to be our number 9. You need to score some goals. And that's quite a lot of pressure, because he hasn't scored a lot of goals of late. He had one good season when I think it coincided with Callum Wilson being injured, and he scored 16 or 17 Premier League goals and did really well at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
What Watford need now is for someone to come in and go, right, I'm not going to fill Troy Deeney's whopping great boots and personality and all that sort of stuff, but I'm just going to get down to business and start chipping in with some goals. And one of the subplots to the last game against Wolves was that he missed a chance. He almost got on a chance that was well created down the right-hand side from Sai, whipped it across the 6-yard box, and King slid in almost like Gaza Euro 96 style and just missed out. And that would have been great for him to start, and we would have led the game and all that sort of stuff. And then in the second half, he just created a chance, showed some good hold-up play and laid it off. And then literally the next second, it was almost like a preordained substitution. He came off about 8-9 minutes into the second half, and everyone was like, no, don't take him off. We need this guy to find his flow.
Really?
So it's, hopefully now he can continue to start and he will get a goal and then get on a run. But it is one of the things that Watford are very conscious of. And it's interesting when you compare it, even, I know you haven't been scoring, you haven't been winning games or getting any points whatsoever, but Pookie is still... He's still there, and you just go, well, give him a chance and he'll probably score.
Yeah.
So you've got someone that's sort of still...
He has scored, yeah.
Yeah, and he has scored. So it's like, I just think you've still got that ace in your pack. And
he's going to score on Saturday. He's going to score on Saturday, isn't he? Josh is going to score on Saturday, isn't he?
Well, I bloody well hope so.
No, I bloody well hope he doesn't. I'll tell you something that I'm sure you hope doesn't happen, Adam. This season is, of course, yet another manager change. I feel like I ask you about this every time because I'm fascinated in it. Do you think it's likely that your gaffer will get the chop this season if results don't start to turn quickly?
I'm not sure yet. I'm genuinely not sure. Because if you go back to, I'm not sure exactly what month it was. I think it was sort of January, February. And he'd been in the job for about 9 games. Watford played Coventry at St Andrews, and I remember how bad Watford were. I had to sort of, I never do, like, you never do it normally at a football match. I had to go for a walk at half time outside just to almost like feel, just like wash the game off me. It was that rancid how badly Watford were. So I walked, and then after the game, they drew 0-0. They could have been beaten. And then there was a big sort of shake-up. The senior players sort of took hold. They had a sort of clear the air talks. And then from that point on, they went on an amazing run right to the end of the season and won, I think it was 13 out of 16 or 14 out of 18 or whatever it was. So at that time, it was almost like, oh, God, are they going to get rid of the head coach? Has he lost the dressing room already? But they stuck with him. And they stuck with him this summer. And I just think that at this time, they have to go, right, we've cleared out a lot of some big characters out of the dressing room. Yeah. We're trying to build a new culture behind this head coach. Let's just try and stay as calm as possible. Let's not listen to the noise too much and try our damnedest to stick with it and stay together rather than have any backbiting and then it leading to sort of discontent and ultimately the head coach going. So I
feel like you're talking this up though. Like, this is a bit of self-talk. I'm not sure if you truly believe it. I think you're just kind of bringing it into presence here.
Well, no, put it into this context.
Okay.
So Watford so they won their opening game. They've lost their last 3.
Yeah.
If they lose against Norwich, I mean, away from home, potentially, if there is away from home, you go, all right, fair enough. This is their big day out because they've been playing all the big teams, right? They've been playing all the big teams, and they're thinking, we might win a game. We might win a game. That's going to be the chant. That's going to be the chant. I just think you go, all right, let's take this on the chin. Right, we've lost against Norwich, but if we then lose against Newcastle, another game that you think, oh, you've got to win, then it's almost like, right, you've lost 5 on the bounce, and you've gone through 2 games that you will be budgeting for. Because if you look at it, and I was thinking about this before we were doing this earlier on when I was driving around, I was thinking, right, if you know that you just want to finish 17th, you're going to have 5 teams at the bottom of the league, right? You're going to have 4 teams around you. You need to you need to finish 17th, but there's going to be one that sort of just gets out of it. There's going to be one that finishes 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, right? So there's 4, let's say 4 teams around you, 8 games. If you can target those 8 games and win them, that's 8 of the 11 games that you need to win to stay up, pretty much, right? That will give you 33 points. You might pick up a couple of random wins against an Everton or an Aston Villa like Watford have already. So you've really, really got to target these games. So Norwich will be doing it about Watford, and Watford will be doing it about Norwich. So this is like a proper big game. If we know no one's going to really beat the top 6, we're going to get humped about 10-0 by Man City a couple of times, and all the others, that sort of stuff. Now it's like, bosh, you've got to go there and you've got to win, okay? And Watford, and I was listening on my Athletic app earlier on to Michael Bailey's article about the Farke 200 games, right?
Man.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the only team that Farke hasn't collected any points against is...
Mate, no. It
is Watford.
Mate, so, you are our bogey team. You are our new bogey team.
No, but you can replay this afterwards. I'm just saying it's a worrying stat for Watford as much as it is a positive stat. Because records are there to be broken. So I'm just thinking, this is a really important game because you'll be on your knees if you lose against us. If we win, we'll think, right, okay, okay,
Yeah, we're in the room.
We've racked up 3 points against one of our fellow battlers.
Yeah, it's a big game. It's going to be super interesting how it turns out. Adam, you've kind of come on my show and you've pushed me about a little bit there, actually. So I'll push it back on you a little bit now, and rightly so, I think. Troy Deeney, have you lost some soul?
Soul?
Yeah. Do you feel like you've lost a bit of the soul of your football club with his departure? Because that's big boots to fill. I mean, I liken it to us when Grant Holt left. I liken it to us when Wes Houlihan left. And are you worried as a Watford fan? Are you worried with his departure? Because surely he would have had a huge presence and you know, I guess being a motivator within the changing room.
Yes, he has been, and he's been really influential for 11 years. However, what Watford got last season, including the run that included winning at Carrow Road, was fighting back straight away. Bosh, straight back. Is that Watford had a window into life without Troy Deeney,
right,
during that run. I'll tell you a story in a minute about Deeney and Carrow Road in a second. So they have seen what they can do without him, and they've started to believe in themselves without him. He obviously had a presence still, and he was still going to games, and he was still sort of just there on the training pitch here and there because he had a long injury. He had an Achilles injury, which he recovered from, and he's been very influential on the field in big games, in big moments. You know, like viral moment of the century, scoring the Deeney goal against Leicester. It's just amazing, absolutely amazing, and you know, fantastic. No one's ever going to take that moment away from him, from anyone that was there. I was there behind the goal that he scored the goal in.
Wow!
And I was just like, it was the most incredible day. Huh?
Top off, swirling around the head.
And I was just like, arms, just like, there's a picture of me, just like this. It was amazing. It was so amazing. Like if the net wasn't there, the ball would have just gone in my mouth, and it probably would have fit, considering how big my mouth is. But interestingly, you know, to just simply say, oh, they did without him. There was a really funny moment in the game at Carrow Road towards the end of the season. Deeney was there in the stands, and Farker was complaining about something, and he was complaining and shouting, and Deeney said something to just sort of go, all right, mate, chill out. And Farker, because was angry at the time, and he turned and was like, and then he saw who was saying it, and it was Deeney, and he just sort of went, all right, yeah, fair enough.
He's not taking on Deeney.
Just don't take on Troy. So look, he has been a fantastic sort of talisman for the side, but there has been different subplots about you know, is he going to take us up to that next level? You know, is he the striker that is going to score all the goals? And now we're in a situation where we can't find a goal scorer, but hopefully it will come. But yes, you're right. He has been the heartbeat. He's been central to everything that has been Watford over the last 10 years, pretty much. And now they're moving into a new era. So that's why it's like everyone going, oh, no, what's going on? Sack the head coach, all this, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, chill out. This has been a massive change. You've got to try and let things grow. They have to grow slightly organically. You know, have to try and build relationships and trust and just start to free yourselves up and go again. You know, so we'll see what happens.
You said he's been at the heart of everything, and you know, just after open heart surgery, it takes time to recover from such an operation. And you know, Watford this season, whether your fans like it or not, it's going to take time. And similarly to Norwich, with the amount of changes that we've had. Adam, I'm asking this question to every single one of the fans from other clubs we have on the channel this season. If there was one Norwich player you would sign for Watford right now to turn up at the training ground tomorrow, who would it be and why?
Oh,
none, because they're all shit.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Don't, Adam, the game's kicking off.
No, I was going to say I like Max Aarons.
Yeah.
But then
he couldn't play for Watford though, could he? Could he? Feel like he's not.
Why couldn't he play for Watford?
I feel like at Watford, like part of the interview is, are you a big physical lump?
No. Well, no. If you look at Kiko Femenia, who is our first choice right back, who we've been missing, he plays football like sexual chocolate. Okay, he is absolutely fantastic. He is brilliant. He's classy, plays the ball down the right hand side, links up beautifully with Ismail Assar and stuff like that. He's not been playing of late, so potentially as a right back, could have him in there. There's not many, to be honest. There's not many. Oh, obviously, you take Pookie.
Would you? Would you have Pookie?
You take Pookie. Him in the middle, poaching, like goal scoring. He's just like gets up in the morning, thinks, opens his eyes, starts to breathe, scratches his eyes, stands up, scores a goal. It's just like natural. It's just another thing he does.
Well, that's
I know he struggled a bit, but
yeah, he's getting a lot of stick. He's getting a lot of stick from Norwich fans at the moment. A lot of Norwich fans are calling on him to be replaced by Josh Sargent ahead of the Watford game. So it'd be really interesting. Adam, let's get into the juicy crescendo of this conversation now, which is, of course, the score predictions. But let's set the scene before we do so. Our last win came against you boys in 2016.
Yeah.
4-2 at Vicarage Road. It was a wild game, absolutely wild game. A Craig Cathcart OG, Ember Carney scored 2, and even Nathan Redmond scored. I say even just because it was miles ago, not that because he didn't score a lot. What a wacky game that was. And head-to-head from over the years, you've won 42, we've won 31, and we've drawn 29 times. I'm not sure if that changes your mind, but I'm about to ask you the question I ask everyone. What is your head saying on Saturday, and what is your heart saying? You're taking this really seriously today, Adam.
No, because it's a big game. It's a really big game, isn't it? It's massive. Yeah, like if you don't get these 3 points, you're not going to get 3 points for ages, and we're probably not going to do either. So it's like these are three massive juicy points that you can really genuinely believe that you could get them. My head is saying that Watford have got enough. I think Watford have improved their squad more than Norwich have improved their squad.
Ooh.
Personally.
Okay.
Personally. In terms of the personnel, because you loved Oliver Skipp, right?
Loved him.
He was central to everything you do.
Yeah.
And you don't have him anymore.
We've signed Matthias Norman, though.
Yes, and he has a very, very good reputation, and he's the good-looking one as well, isn't he?
Very. He's looking good. I mean, if the Norwich City calendar is out this Christmas, it'll be a sellout, that's for sure.
Just him on every month.
Don't bother with everyone else.
No, I remember, wasn't there a picture of him with his abs? Yeah. Yeah, here, that's him.
Adam, you don't need to tell us what you do in your spare time. Tell us your score prediction.
Score prediction.
Head, and heart.
Heart says Watford win.
Oh, bugger off.
Head says Watford win.
Oh, no. What's the scoreline? 1-0? Dodgy 1-0? I bet it is, isn't it?
No, I think there's going to be goals.
I think
there's going to be goals. I think it's going to be... I think Watford are going to go there with a good intent. And I never predict. I never predict. And you're just setting yourself up for a fall. You're setting yourself up for a mischievous bunch of Norwich fans who run a very successful supporter channel, cutting it up and putting it out there and going, look what this twat said prior to kickoff.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm saying, no, it's belief. My head believes, my heart believes. So that's what I'm saying.
Say it with your chest.
Prediction, it's going to be a 2-1.
That's
2-1, 2-1, 3-1 to Watford.
That's the longest score prediction I've ever heard. And I've not thought about this, and I'm normally pretty sure. I think it's going to be a really tight, really cagey game. And considering how the Arsenal game panned out for Norwich, I expect it to be the same. I think we'll go in at the break at 0-0. I think both teams, as I say, will struggle to really get going in that first half, and it'll be massively about that halftime team talk. I think there's going to be one goal in it either way, Adam, and I think that my head is saying 1-1, but my heart is saying 2-1 Norwich. I've got to keep predicting these wins. It's got to come eventually, Adam, and I'm so
What's
sorry.
the atmosphere been like? It must have been the atmosphere's been good, is it?
What in the stadia or in general?
Yeah. Did you just call it the Stadia?
Mate, I've not been to a football match in 18 months. I've just made up a new name for it now.
No, but it must have been great. Like, because I know Norwich from working on the Tales from books and stuff like that. I've got a soft spot for Norwich. It's a well-run club, great fans. I think it's a great club, and I never speak ill of them because they're run really well. But has it been? Has there been a bit of sort of backbiting, a bit of sort of uncertainty, or is everyone sort of behind what's happening?
I think my observations, and let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree on this. I think my observations are it's pretty even split at the moment from what I've seen, Adam. There's a bunch of people that are saying, well, it's negative to go into a game just expecting to lose and being happy, or just you'll just chalk those off. And I do lean to that side of the fence somewhat, particularly against Leicester and Arsenal, where Leicester, I stand by it. We should have won that game. We had the chances to do so, and we had a dodgy VAR decision as well. And against Arsenal, albeit we only had one shot on target, we did enough in the game to nick a draw. But the other side of the fence is I think probably the right side, if I'm honest, Adam, which is we have played all the best teams in the league, and actually, I think I would rather be in Norwich's position than your position, because you've actually played some winnable games and fallen over, whereas Norwich have played games against teams that, let's be honest, the gap is so vast that it's a hard one to take. But anyway, we digress. I think that the atmosphere at Carrow Road for sure, Adam, is going to be a tense one. It'll be a cauldron of noise, and I'm sure that the Barclay and the rest of the stadium will be willing us on to a victory. Thank you so much for coming on today and taking time out of your schedule, Adam. I'm looking forward to your cheeky tweet when you run away with a shithouse 1-0 on Saturday. Oh
God, look, it's going to be so tense, and it's not going to be enjoyable. And it's horrible to have a 6 points this early, where you just think these could be 3 points of our. Really feel like they're 3 big points. These, and that would double our tally, and it would put 6 points between us and you at this early stage of the season in the 6-point battle.
Oh, don't! Look, it's going to be a sweaty one. It really is. Thank you so much, everyone that's watched this opposition preview. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this, make sure you give it a thumbs up on YouTube, share it on social media, and so on. And fingers crossed, keep everything crossed, the next time I talk to you will be after our first 3 points of the season. Please, on the ball.